This is TWiT.
Big contract. So Jedi was $10 billion. Well, it wasn't the only contract out there. Amazon just got a different $10 billion cloud contract from the NSA.
I know.
Microsoft's not happy.
No, they're not happy. And is anyone surprised? After that whole back and forth over Jedi where Microsoft actually won, and then in the end they pulled the contract. So, you know, when everyone found out in July, well, I shouldn't say everyone, when the cloud vendors found out in July, there was this, quote, secret cloud computing contract that the NSA had put out to bid, and Microsoft saw that Amazon won the $10 billion contract. What do you think they did? They're pulling a little Amazon in here, right? They're going to protest it, and they're hoping to tie it up probably the way that Jedi got tied up. So this is a contract that's codenamed Wild and Stormy. Ooh. Look at those NSA guys with those code names.
That's a cocktail name, isn't it?
That was the Dark and Stormy.
Dark and Stormy.
Okay.
Yeah. Wild and Stormy. This is well, since it's secret, we think it's a contract about involving NSA trying to consolidate all the data that it has in multiple repositories into a single
that Sex on the Beach server they've been using.
Exactly.
And the fuzzy naval server. They're going to replace that with Wild and Stormy. I think that's
Let's go with Wild and Stormy. That's a better
Somewhere there's
cocktail.
an agent go, they're on to us.
Yeah, so Microsoft has officially filed a complaint, and the GAO says they will make a decision about Microsoft's complaint October 29th. So then, you know, it's going to go back and forth. We'll see.
You know, I'm starting to wonder if the little pissing match between these two companies is actually getting in the way of national security at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people are wondering this. They're like, okay, that's great, but like, so meanwhile, no one's doing anything to modernize their data facilities.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's all tied up.
Don't we need to do this? Is this not urgent?
Yeah.
Right.
I know, right? Yeah. So we'll see what happens. You know, this could go a lot of different ways, but it seems like, although we don't know details because it's a secret contract, maybe it was another one of these single supplier win kind of thing like Jedi was. So, you know, everybody else is going to be mad when the single supplier for a big $10 billion contract gets announced.
Yeah.
So far, Oracle's not protesting it, surprisingly, because they protest everything too, but not yet, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, it's a nice contract. I mean, that's as big as Jedi was.
It is.
Yep.
It's a big deal.
Yep.
Is it over 10 years too, or is it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, must
be. A lot of this is not public because it's NSA.
Yeah, it's NSA. I'm surprised we even know about this.
Right.
I know.
Right.
Yep.
Amazon is, however, on a roll.
Bezos leaving was the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah, they're now. I saw this bigger than Walmart.
So and I have to say, when you hear this sentence, Amazon is now bigger than Walmart, meaning as a retailer. What was the first thing that went through my mind was that they're not already bigger than Walmart?
Yeah, you would think, but Walmart. You got to remember, Walmart is huge.
Yeah, this is pure retail sales. And the funny thing, not funny, but the interesting thing here, maybe aside from the fact that Amazon already wasn't bigger, because Amazon obviously has other parts of the company like AWS, which probably make it bigger than.
Oh yeah. It's not the company size; it's just how much revenue.
The retail business. Yeah.
People spent 610. Get ready for this. You're going to pass out. We're talking about $10 billion contract. Over the last 12 months, ending in June, during COVID, $610 billion on Amazon.
Right.
Oh, man.
Now, the thing they're not saying is they also made a profit of $1,700. So it's kind of a high margin business.
We're not counting profit.
Revenues.
Walmart $566 billion. So both are massive.
But both are also smaller than Alibaba, right? Which is the Chinese-based retailer, e-commerce giant. And neither company, Amazon nor Walmart, has been able to make much of a foothold for themselves in China because obviously China is a different kind of market. But it's interesting. It's funny that there's this whole planet of people that we don't really kind of think about a lot here in the West. There are more of them. They're just more, and they have their own things. And where everyone has heard of Amazon, everyone knows about Walmart, and they just don't matter.
We'll go back to your childhood. Remember, Sears was the big retailer for years.
That's right. And that's actually the little factoid I pulled into my article was the company that Walmart surpassed many years ago to become the biggest retailer was Sears. Yeah. And by the way, Sears still exists in Mexico. They're everywhere. No, they in front of the most beautiful building in Mexico City is called Bellas Artes. The building right in front of it, which towers over it, is Sears.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. If you want a beautiful view of that, go to the Sears Terrace.
Sears Tower, yeah. Yep. So I think, though, that really why this is an interesting story is it is the ascendancy now of online shopping over brick and mortar. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's finally happened, right?
Well, it's online shopping of physical goods, right? So, Walmart obviously has retail stores, which people go to. Walmart has electronic stuff as well, which I'm sure is a big business. But the ability just to bring up a page and say, I want this thing today, tomorrow, and the next day at the latest is Amazon's greatest strength. And it's also the thing that's clogging all of our highways, by the way. So, God help you if you have to drive to Boston from Philadelphia like I do all the time. It's a nightmare, and it's all Amazon trucks with big smiley faces on them.
Everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
And this includes third-party sales on Amazon. So it isn't exactly apples to apples, but they're getting some cut of all of those sales. So, yeah.
Of course. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts.
Right.
You know who was bigger than Sears before Sears in the 40s?
Oh, boy.
A&P.
Oh, A&P.
The grocery chain. Remember A&P?
I was going to say, I think of that as a grocery chain. Okay.
Yeah. And it was only on the East Coast. We didn't have A&P out here. I remember, though, when I lived in Rhode Island.
I was just trying to explain this to my son, how we had regional things back in the day. That if you...
Piggly Wiggly or... Yeah,
you couldn't get seafood in the middle of the country. Today, you could go to Des Moines and have the best sushi you've ever had, probably.
No. I always said, never eat sushi in Vegas. They're in a desert. And you know what? Best sushi in the world.
No problem at all. Yep. Yeah, I told, in fact, I had Corona for the first time in 1985. No one had ever heard of Corona.
Yes.
Someone brought it up to New Mexico from Mexico, and I said, this is just beer. I don't understand.
When I was a kid, the guys would drive to Colorado, fill a truck full of Coors, and drive it out here, and it was like a big deal. Right. They're going to be in the parking lot on Thursday with a Coors truck, and everybody, because you couldn't get Coors out here.
In Boston, it was Sam Adams, and of course, depending on where you are, your Sam Adams beer is coming from Cleveland.
Yeah, I know.
It's coming from Georgia. It's
I know. Well, we did the same thing with White Castle sliders. They'd pull up a truck in the parking lot. Now you can get them fresh and delicious right from the store.
I don't know, fresh. You can get them.
A&P, according to the New York Times, was so big in the 40s that they actually were facing antitrust regulation. That's how dominant they were.
So, and I'm sorry, I'm just thinking 40 years ago, I was driving out in the middle of New Mexico with my father, and we drove through a little dusty town with one crossroad, and there was a little phone booth looking thing that had Sears logo on it. And I said, what's that? And he said, there's a Sears catalog in there. And you go through the Sears catalog, you call them on the phone, and they deliver it to a nearby building. And then when it comes, they call you, and then you go pick it up.
That
was the internet in the 1980s.
Yeah, it was that was the huge innovation, was the Sears and Roebuck catalog, which allowed people in the West, in the frontier, to get stuff shipped to them. So, it's all analogous, really.
The holiday catalog was like the biggest event of the year for the kids, That was big stuff. That was where you picked out where you were going to get for Christmas.
I used to think that people who were born in 1900 saw more change in their, in their 70 or 80 years, going from no human air travel to rockets and landing on the moon.
Nuclear power and,
but now I'm starting to think maybe the last 70 or 80 years have been a big change for us too.
Yeah,
in fact,
it's all TikTok based, is what it is.
It's all because of TikTok. I think it's TikTok. What would Grandma have thought if she'd seen TikTok? I don't know. She'd probably love it.
Yeah,
but she wouldn't understand it necessarily.